Let's bring in Democratic Congressman Adam Smith, ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, thanks for being here. The president's whole plan in Venezuela appears to hinge on their buy-in to invest in that country's oil sector, these oil companies that are coming to the White House today. What happens if it doesn't happen? How realistic is any of this?
Yeah, well, there's two pieces to this. One is sort of the realistic aspect of it, and the point that has been made in a number of articles. Venezuela's oil infrastructure is terrible. It's going to cost a lot of money to try to build that up, and also their oil requires more refining. It's not necessarily as valuable as it appears, and so oil companies, I mean, even if the Maduro government wasn't there blocking them, would have a business calculation. Does this make sense? Is this worth this investment? And most people say no. So how do you force that investment? Where does that money come in? Does President Trump's plan of basically taking Venezuela's oil, does it bear fruit? But the second part of this is that plan in and of itself even in the best interests of the United States? We show up in Venezuela, take over their country, try to take their oil from them. I mean, this is old school imperialism and colonialism that is not going to go well, certainly in the region. And we haven't focused on, okay, well, what about the talk about the drug problem? Haven't heard Trump say anything about that. What are we doing now that Maduro's gone to try to reduce the influence of the cartels, which was supposedly the U.S. interest? So both the actual plan and whether or not it's going to work, both of those things, I think, are huge problems for U.S. policy.
I want to play some of President Trump's interview with the New York Times, talking about his approach to foreign policy and the limits of his global powers. Take a listen.
Do you see any checks on your power on the world stage? Is there anything that could stop you if you wanted to?
Yeah, there's one thing, my own morality, my own mind. It's the only thing that can stop, and that's very good.
The president pointing to his own morality over following international law. How dangerous is that?
It's incredibly dangerous. Now, I will say, when I first saw that headline, I misread it, and I thought he said my own mortality. In retrospect, that would have been better. And this is a president saying that the law doesn't apply to him. Now, I know that we're not supposed to use the F word on television, and the F word I'm referring to is fascism, but when you have a leader of a country who says, I can do whatever I want, it's up to me to decide what I can and cannot do, nobody else, no other institution, no law, no constitution, international or domestic, is a check on that. I would challenge someone to explain to me why that isn't an authoritarian fascist approach to governing. And if you believe in representative democracy, if you believe in our Constitution, yeah, that is incredibly concerning. And then you sort of see how he's applying that in terms of what he's doing with that power. He has sent ICE agents and other law enforcement all across the country to terrorize our communities. He and his vice president think that they have absolute immunity, apparently, to kill whoever they want with zero accountability. And he's also busily starting conflicts all over the world. The president who ran for office saying we are too engaged in overseas wars and conflicts has bombed Iran, Nigeria, Venezuela. He's threatening Mexico, Colombia, Cuba, Canada, Greenland. He is starting conflicts, not stopping them, which is part of the reason why representative democracy and constitutional republics are a better way to govern than one person being in charge of all of it. So I hope a lot of people are very disturbed about that.
I mean, in this country, there are three co-equal branches of government, and we haven't seen Congress assert itself to take back powers of the legislative branch, at least up to this point in this presidency, with the Republican Party controlling the House, the Senate, and the White House. But in the Senate yesterday, there was a moment where we saw Republicans join with Democrats to try to limit the president's global power, advancing that war powers resolution that would limit his ability to carry out additional military operations in Venezuela. It had the support of 5 Republicans, some people who flipped their votes from December, which was a no, to a yes yesterday. How significant do you think this moment is for the legislative branch?
It's a start. It's a small start. And on the House side, we passed the 3-year extension of the enhanced ACA tax credits over the president's objections. So you've seen some small little pieces of the legislative branch reasserting itself, but it's nowhere near where it should be. I mean, President Trump, you know, he did the tariffs illegally without Congress having anything to say about it. When we shut down the government, the United States House of Representatives disappeared, went out of session for 2 months, literally ceded all of the authority to the president. And then also yesterday, we had 2 bills that had passed unanimously in the House that the president vetoed for petty personal reasons, which aren't worth getting into. And somewhere around 180 Republicans switched their vote to oppose the override just because Donald Trump asked them to. So when it comes to Congress reasserting its authority against President Trump, when it comes to the Republican majority doing that in the House and the Senate, I still submit we have a long way to go, despite the small little victories that you saw yesterday in the House and the Senate.
Congressman Adam Smith, thank you for being with us today.